Welkom bij deze 5e aflevering van de serie Met je ikke op pad, Voice Dialogue bij levensveranderingen. Vandaag spreek ik met Sidra Stone, een van de 2 grondleggers van de Voice Dialogue visie en de Voice Dialogue methode, samen met haar echtgenoot Hal Stone. En zoals jullie wel weten ben ik een groot fan van dit gedachtegoed. Achter mij op tafel zien jullie een groot aantal van de boeken, geschreven door Hal en Sidra Stone. Ze zijn ook makers van audiotapes en Sidra is een zeer capabele therapeut. Het was een groot genoegen om een groot aantal keren bij haar in Amerika te zijn, om van haar te leren. En vandaag spreek ik met haar over transformatieprocessen, over hoe zij dat ziet, over de transformatieprocessen in haar leven en hoe Voice Dialogue haar en ook ons als coaches kan helpen bij het begeleiden van mensen tijdens grote veranderingen in het leven. Nou, daar gaan we dan. Welcome, Sidra. This was my introduction in Dutch. And I'm very delighted that we have the chance to talk tonight, and for you it's early in the morning, to talk about all these topics we wrote about. So, welcome.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. And I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah.
So deeply, deeply happy.
Yeah. Well, same for me. Thank you. Yeah. And we had a little chat just now, and you said there are so many transformations in your own life. Where shall we start this conversation?
Shall we start with my transformations?
Great.
Because each one of them has expanded me.
Mm-hmm.
In each one of them, there's been a separation from a particular set of selves that were working beautifully until something in my life totally changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I started going back, I realized that I made a list of 9 major transformations.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to go look at them. The first one was when I was a young child, and I grew up. I grew up in a working class neighborhood.
Yes.
And it was all street games and living out in the streets, very alive. Very alive. We played games in the streets. In those days, there were not very many cars.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was born in 1937.
Oh, yes.
So I have this huge set of memories.
Yeah.
That goes back to a me that was dealing with, as so many of us were, the residuals of the Depression.
Yeah.
In the world, and the rise of Hitler.
Yeah.
So we were dealing with really intense changes.
No.
So anyway, I grew up in a neighborhood that was against America going into the war. It was of the. I lived in a place of the Axis powers. My neighborhood was German, Irish, and Italian.
Mm-hmm. A mix.
and there was me and my 2 other, and my sister and the 2 other children who were basically more middle class and Jewish.
Yeah.
So we just had to be very quiet.
You had to be quiet.
Okay. And blend in. And the idea living there was you had to be tough.
Mm.
Brooklyn, and the primary selves were, I can take it. I'm a tough kid, and you're not going to make me say you hurt me. Mm. Speaking of disowning vulnerability.
Yeah.
I remember wrestling with a young boy and having him twist my hand down. Really? Until I was starting to faint. I was getting dizzy and seeing dark spots, but I wouldn't say you hurt me.
Okay.
So that was a set of primary cells that were very well adapted to street life
Yeah.
and found it exciting
Yeah.
and found it, you know, uh, important to be powerful
Mm-hmm.
and to resist physical harm or even emotional harm. Uh, we moved into a more middle class neighborhood. Oh, and it wasn't a good thing to be smart.
Oh, either.
It wasn't a good thing to do well in school.
Must have been difficult for you as you are smart.
Well, I figured out a way to deal with it, and I
How
was
did you
really,
do that?
I knew I was smart, and I was smarter than most of the children in my class. Actually, all of the children, they did IQ tests. And the principal told my mother I had the highest one in the school. So that made me feel superior,
I,
which, but I had to hide it.
yeah.
So it was a funny combination. And I was a girl.
Yeah, also.
It would have been a heck of a lot easier being a boy, but I didn't realize it at the time. So the primary cells that dealt with living there and enjoyed it. I loved playing out in the streets, and I loved playing and being physical
Mm-hmm.
and running and fighting and playing these wonderful war games we played. We played this ring alivio that would last for hours, until it got too dark to see, and our mother called us back in. But anyway, then I moved to this very quiet neighborhood,
Yeah.
and nobody played in the streets.
Oh.
And it was a terrible shock. It was like something I lost. That was my first big change.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I lost
Mm.
all of that rough and tumble set of primary cells, and I never did totally. I never did totally fit it. Tried to fit in. I
Mm.
got two best friends, and they were both like me, and we were just irreverent. We weren't going to join the sororities, which we did. We pledged and had a wonderful time. And at the sorority luncheon, where we were supposed to get our pins, the three of us looked at each other, got up, and left. So
Good.
we were very irreverent, and we did things. I remember we got leopard skin scarves or something that we all wore to to show we weren't like those other girls who were.
What did that new or maybe combined self, how did that help you in that new environment?
It helped me not care that I wouldn't fit in ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't care what those people valued, and I didn't care what those people thought.
Yeah.
I didn't. And so it was, that doesn't bother me. I don't care what people think.
Mm.
Although, of course, you can disown the I do care what people think.
Yeah. You had to disown that.
In the back. But the three of us had each other.
Yeah.
And we had all come from a different kind of neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that we had. So that we were allowed to be creative. We helped each other
Yeah.
creative and think of new ways of doing things. And so that was the first change. Then then I was accepted into Barnard, which was an Ivy League school, and that in New York. And at that time, it was an all-girls school.
Mm-hmm.
And marvelous, because we were told we were smart, and we were smarter than most men. And we could be as smart as we wanted because there were only girls watching, basically. and
What
we
a
did
difference from the first part where you lived here. It was even supported and stimulated.
totally.
Totally.
In fact, I sort of credit them with the rest of my life in a way, because in those days, because we're talking about the very early 1950s,
Mm-hmm.
and in those days, the job of a woman was she went to a good school so she could get a smart husband, and then she would drop out in her sophomore year.
Yeah.
Because that job was done. She got her, what we used to call was an MRS degree, a Mrs. degree, to put on front of her name. People don't use Mrs. anymore,
Oh.
but it means married woman.
Yeah.
So she got her Mrs. degree, and the dean of the school, the head of this all girls school, called us together in our sophomore year to encourage us, and she made a speech. She encouraged us to follow to get all the degrees we could before we left, before we got married and had children. And she said, I'll never forget this. You have to think about when you're 40 years old and your children are old enough and don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
These days, girls are just beginning to think they better get pregnant at 40 if they want to at all. And so we took that very seriously.
Yeah.
And we had more PhDs, more graduates who went on for PhDs for many, many, many years.
Do you remember how that felt? This
Totally empowering.
empowering. Yeah.
Totally empowering. It was, what are you going to do then when you're old? And here I sit at 88. When I was being warned that when I was 40, my life would be over. Such a patriarchal view I can see now.
Yeah.
But it was very empowering and very encouraging.
And also maybe liberating this smart part in you that you had to hide when you were a kid.
Totally.
And now she could be out.
Yes. Yes. And she didn't have to be competitive, really, because she knew she was smart.
Yeah.
And that was a delight and a relief. And so I could go ahead and in those days, you had to have all your children before you were 30 years old.
Yeah. Oh.
At that point, that would be old, and you risked birth defects. So before I was 30 years old, I had 2 children. I had a PhD. I had my license as a psychologist, and I had to get my degree before the men did, mostly because I didn't have the time to spare. I just had to get it done. I was very proud of that. Still am.
I can imagine. And because it was also a big task, combination of being a mother, and which part in you helped you to do so?
I'm very, I do have a sense of humor. And, I'm resilient when things change. I can deal with that, but I think it's just that I keep going. I put one foot in front of the other, and keep my eyes on the goal, and keep my eyes on whatever the goal is at that time.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't give up easily.
Yeah. So that's a big part in you.
Huge part of
A
me.
huge part of you, still going strong. Yeah.
Yes.
And did you have a goal at that time? Did you have an idea where you wanted to go?
Well, I was trying to think of what I wanted to get my professional degree in. And in those days, I was fascinated with physics
Mhm.
and with how things work. And I was thinking of engineering or science. And then I thought, no, because that's not going to work well with life.
Mhm.
But everything is going to be changing in the field. And if I get a PhD and I want to take a couple of years off to do something else, to travel, to have children, um, it's not going to be good. So what can I get a PhD in? Medical school, I thought I wouldn't be able to dissect a cadaver. Law school sounded incredibly boring.
Yeah.
Um, Engineering, I did go to the ladies' engineering meetings a couple of times, but that just didn't it didn't work and then I came on across psychology,
Yeah.
and I because I loved reading and I loved books and I loved narrative and I thought, well, if I'm interested in books as much as I am, people are even more interesting.
Yeah.
And then the older I get, the more experiences I will have, and the richer um, I will be in terms of dealing with things. And I thought that that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Yeah. And that's what you still do.
And that's what I still do.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it. And I'm so glad
Yeah.
that was my choice. So that was a big one.
Yeah.
Big change, huge change. Then the next one, I almost skipped. I was making this whole list of things having to do with voice dialogue. And I realized I had left out motherhood,
Yeah.
how becoming a mother. And that was incredibly life changing.
Can imagine.
It makes you more vulnerable than you've ever been in your life.
Mhm.
It makes you, because anything that happens to that child is like, it's right in your heart
Mm.
and you're responsible for it. And the love that came in when I had that child and I first saw her was something I'd never seen before. I never felt before.
Mhm.
I mean, I loved men, but it wasn't the same.
Mhm.
I loved my friends, and that wasn't the same. I loved my family, and that wasn't the same. So that was a huge change.
Mhm.
And that's where that stubbornness came in. And I'm not going to miss anything. I'm going to live the whole life. And I wasn't going to leave these children. I had the two of them. Um, we used to call them Irish twins. I had them 11 months apart
Okay.
deliberately because
Yeah.
I thought, it'll just be like one long diaper change. I'll manage. But I wasn't going to give up my traveling because my husband and their father and I loved traveling together. So and he was in his he was he was in medical school and then he was in internship. Anyway, he had chunks of time. So we took the two children on this incredible trip with us before anybody traveled with little children. And both of them were under the age of 2. And in those days, he said to me, well, he said, if they're under 2, if they're 2 or under, they fly free with us. And if you can find us a cheap flight, we'll go. And we spent 5 weeks in Greece with the 2 children
Wow.
under the age of 2 and 32 diapers. 32 diapers that I washed out every day in the hotel bathtub and hung on the balconies. And it was a fabulous trip.
Yeah.
And before that, we had a chance to travel around Europe and the Mediterranean and things by ourselves. But we took the children, and that was before there were World Heritage sites and things were protected. You could just go sit in the ruins and let the children climb on them, the one who could climb.
Wow.
And it was great. So anyway, motherhood was a big deal, but I wasn't going to let it stop me from doing things. They did anything that worked for children.
Great.
That was great. And then when I was still a New Yorker, and with all the primary selves that came from being a New Yorker, where you knew you were at the center of the world. And, when people asked us where we came from, we would say New York in case they just thought we were ordinary Americans. And God forbid we should come from California.
Where you live now for decades.
That was the next huge change, because it would have, when we moved from New York to California, and everything that worked, all the primary cells that worked in New York, well, you couldn't be foolish in New York.
No?
No. One of the primary cells in New York was, you never asked a question unless you already knew the answer, because you didn't know if the question was going to be foolish. How do you like that for
So that has been one of your primary selves too.
That was a big primary self as a New Yorker.
As a New Yorker. And when I look at your face just 1 minute ago, when you said, I'm a New Yorker, you look, I can see it on the energy. This is a New Yorker, isn't it?
It's a New Yorker. She is superior.
Yeah. Just
because she's from New York. She's not from the Midwest. She's not from, God forbid, California. Then we moved to California.
And then you moved to California, the most opposite state you could ever go to.
We moved to my disowned self. To both of our disowned selves.
Really?
Yeah.
You moved there with your husband, didn't you?
Oh, yes, we did. We did.
Children?
And children.
Yeah.
Well, I had 2 at the time. I got 1 later. But he and I had 1 later. But it was like moving to another world.
Really?
I would have been far more comfortable had we moved to London or Paris or Amsterdam than had we moved to Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah, because nothing that was important in New York was important in California. Nothing. In fact, I remember there was a book that came out that had New York versus California primary selves. It didn't say that, but it was this little book, and it had, well, in New York, in California, you smile at everybody and you say hello. In New York, that's a sign of you're stupid. And things like that. And what do you want from me? It's not a good thing to smile at people, and it's not a good thing to be friendly. One should be a little bit aloof if one is from New York. In California, it was you be friendly, and in New York, there was a proper way to do things. And we moved in 1967, which was the beginning of the big change, the summer of love. We literally moved from New York to Los Angeles during the summer of love, where it was don't trust anyone over 30, and I was 30. And then where New York, you wanted to be, you wanted to look older and wiser and more sophisticated and elegant. And in California, you wanted to look as young as you could possibly look.
Flowers in your hair.
Flowers in your hair.
I'm wondering, that must have been sort of difficult for some parts and attractive to other parts.
It was total upheaval. I felt like I remember saying when we landed, I feel like I just got out of jail.
Yeah.
So those were the parts that were so happy to be in California and so totally liberated, and all the things that I've been hiding, like how young I looked, because I did. They thought I was my husband's babysitter. Because I was able to, I naturally looked far younger than my years.
Yeah.
And in California, that was good. In New York, that was bad.
It wasn't good. And did you lose also something when you left New York to such a different... What did you lose?
I lost the sense of security, of knowing I knew the rules. I knew what to wear when. I knew what my opinions should be on the theater, on concerts. I knew I had to go to the concerts. I had to have concert tickets on Thursday nights, because that was the really sophisticated night to go to the Philharmonic. I just knew the rule. I knew you never put on white shoes after Labor Day. Oh. You never wore leather. You changed from black leather to patent leather on Memorial Day, and things like that, where you just knew what you were supposed to do. And I lost that feeling.
Yeah.
And got the feeling of, well, you're supposed to do what you like within. But the New York part that I kept was, don't close any doors so that you can't. Don't endanger yourself.
Yeah.
Make any moves that can be permanently set in.
These parts moved with you to your... It's a migration.
It was a huge migration.
It's a huge migration, and some parts moved with you and to still keep you safe. And then I'm just curious, because you said when you changed from when you were this young girl to this new neighborhood, there was this part that protected you when you would not fit in.
Right.
And did that part come with you to California too?
No.
No.
I remember I said, I feel like I've died and gone to heaven.
Okay.
We mustn't tell people about this place. There were no winters. It was always beautiful, and you things were permitted that weren't, and I remember having the feeling of, oh my goodness, if I lived here, everybody was getting divorced at that time.
Yeah.
And mostly it was women divorcing husbands because of the old patriarchal requirements.
You wrote a beautiful book about that, yeah.
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 And I became really aware of that then. And I remember having the irreverent thought of, oh my goodness, if we got divorced, he'd have to take care of the children one day a week. So I was thinking unthinkable thoughts.
Oh.
I was never ready to divorce him, but that was something that did enter my mind. And if we had moved to California, I would still probably have been married to him and lived as a New Yorker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it sounds as if you really fit into California.
Yes, it was like I found my earth,
Yeah, yeah.
my comfortable earth, and
And
where I belonged.
yeah, where you belong. What you
Yeah.
always say so beautiful, to belong, what belongs to you. And
Yeah.
when you sometimes do you go to New York?
Oh, no, I don't have.
No.
The last time I went was for my college reunion, my 50th college reunion, and that would have been when I was 70.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
Um, I'm thinking, Hal and I taught in New York.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
And did that New York part in you come back then?
well, yeah, in terms of um, knowing how to present to the primary self of New
Yeah,
York.
exactly. Yeah,
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 and also not wanting my children not to know that Northeastern establishment. Um, yeah, all three of them went to fine colleges, and all three of them have degrees,
yeah.
advanced degrees. Yeah, one of them even got two.
Really? Wow.
He got a law degree and a psychology PhD.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and another one became a doctor, a
yeah.
physician.
3 daughters.
And another one just became a mover and shaker. She got her degree in economics and world politics.
You
Yeah,
have 3 daughters, don't you? 4. 3.
that's him and Tamar.
And Tamar, of course.
The lovely, lovely addition. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
what came next after your move to
Okay. The next
California?
after
Yeah,
California.
yeah.
Well, that New York to LA was the hugest. And
Mm,
then there was Hal.
yeah.
And we were disowned selves of each other, basically. I was
You and
still,
Hal. Yeah.
yes, I was still, he was New Age and all of that. And I was still more traditional, more identified with my mind and, and with status and with, um, my mind would be the big thing.
Your
I
mind.
and not believing in anything other than what I could experience with the five senses and categorize and explain with
Yeah.
my mind.
Understand with your mind.
Yes.
And Hal was more spiritual.
It was much more spiritual. Uh, he took a look at me and he thought I was just constricted and too mental and not creative. And that's where that I'll show you I can be creative is the next guy.
Yeah. That part came in and said, I'll show you. Okay.
Show you.
I'll show you I am creative.
I'll show you I can do active imagination because
Yeah.
I signed up to do I signed up to do 6 sessions with him
Yeah.
and we saw where that led. But it opened me up to the whole idea of process, but also of having experiences that were realer than real,
Yeah.
in being able to, experience other realities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wonder, I'm curious, as you have this um, good developed rational mind, which
Yeah.
protects you also,
Yes.
how did you deal with opening up to more not non-touchable, more
Well,
non-pushable?
I was a psychotherapist,
Yeah.
I was a psychologist, and I had read about this active imagination in an article by Saggioli, and, I was doing these guided imagery experiences with my clients, and they'd had these wonderful experiences, and I hadn't had any, and I wanted to experience it myself. I always did like exploring new things.
Yeah. This is curious,
Very.
uh,
Still am.
curious part in you.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's always been a part of me.
Yeah. I can see
Really
it.
curious. I I'm even curious about these days, but,
Yeah.
yeah, but, I wanted to have that experience
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
and I did. I was very clear with Hal that I didn't wanna go into analysis with anybody. I didn't I didn't want his kind. I didn't want anything to disrupt my life.
Yeah.
She got a grin when she says that. I had a good physician at this girl's home that I was the psychological consultant, and I did testing and group therapy with them. And after I met Hal, I ended up working as the director, the executive director of it. But uh, at any rate, I wanted to have my piece,
Yeah.
yeah, of this new world.
And how
And
did that change you?
uh, that just changed me totally.
Mhm.
It, it, it made me open to unseen things. It made me open to energies. It made me open to experiences that I wasn't in control of. It was, um, I was going on these marvelous trips, these psychedelic trips without any drugs.
Yeah.
And I was just totally fascinated. It was like traveling with a passport and an open plane ticket and going any place I wanted. And when I landed there, looking around and seeing what it was, uh, it, that was the world he opened up, and then the um, and then the connection with him. I trusted him.
Yeah.
His I trusted his process, and I just trusted him,
Yeah.
not blindly. My
No.
New Yorker was always there,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but I just trusted him and his reactions to me because he was you know, reactive, and then of course we started the voice dialogue with each other immediately, almost immediately.
Sounds as if hell was a perfect guide
Yeah,
for you to enter this new area, and that
yes,
he knew that area, and you trusted him, so you could go there with him
yes,
to
and I got
explore.
to
Yeah.
be to make it safe for me,
Yeah.
not not to expose me and not to be manipulating me.
Oh,
Yeah. It was a beautiful trust from the very beginning.
beginning. Yeah.
Of course, my New Yorker thought that was because she laid out the ground rules.
But she was still there with you,
Yes.
and she
She,
still is. She's on your shoulder watching, isn't
yes.
she? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these are difficult times.
Yeah.
These are difficult times. And I'm blessed and have been blessed with a good life, a full life. And I'm trying to think. There's some. Oh, age. Well, how?
Hell, yeah.
Well, the next the next big change was, well, first of all, Hal's illness,
Health
because
illness.
there were
Yeah.
many years where he was like the North Star that I oriented everything around, because he was getting older and he had physical challenges, and yeah, and then he was 9 years older than I was,
Mm-hmm.
and so everything was really, I slowed down to match his pace, literally. But we were always together. I mean, we had our arms linked with each other and we walked that path together.
Yeah.
But that was a period of change where I was putting the no, I couldn't say I was putting the relationship ahead of my process, because my process was the relationship. It was our process. Yeah. S- Uh, and and it was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very, what's the word? It's bittersweet, but it was um, poignant. It was a poignant time. That's the word I'm looking for.
Poignant.
Poignant, sweet and sad,
Sweet and sad. Yeah.
and sad,
Sweet and sad.
and a sort of really living each day as it came and doing what we could,
Yeah.
um, to keep him alive.
Yeah. To keep him alive.
Yeah,
To take care of him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In its way, it was as beautiful a part of our relationship as the whole voice dialogue, and going out in the world and taking it all over and teaching and traveling. I got my traveling
Yeah, your traveler really got
finally. Back.
yeah, and so many opportunities to
Yeah,
travel. Yeah.
yes,
But
yeah,
it seems to me that you traveled the world, but you really traveled inside.
yes,
So it
yes,
was a travel in and outside.
yes,
Yeah.
constantly.
And then when Hal got ill, I think you couldn't travel that much anymore.
Couldn't.
Couldn't.
uh,
No.
No, he totally stopped traveling,
Yeah.
and except to hospitals. And I would be driving to go, you know, follow the ambulance or the helicopter or whatever. Yeah,
Do you think that was some new self that was born in you then? Or what self
I
was
think
that
that
from?
was I think that went more back to being a mother,
Yeah. Yeah.
and really having the strength to do it, and really, you know, being feeling as responsible for him
Mhm.
as I did for my infant children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that makes him sound weaker than he was, because he was strong till the end,
Yeah.
and his mind was functioning fabulously, and he was really wise. I used to tease him
Yeah.
at that in those days and say, teach me what you've got to teach me. Tell me about this. And you used to think you were wise, but you really are now.
Yeah.
It was sweet and fun
Yeah.
too, but it was a whole different kind of experience,
Mm.
and a whole different kind of honoring of each other and appreciating each other at
Yeah.
a whole other level, a whole different level.
Whole different level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he died.
Then he died, and that was another big change because literally, I until he died, I always had um, I'd always had somebody, a male, usually a husband. I had two husbands. I always had my arms with them, linked with them, or they'd have their arms around me, and it was like learning to walk again without having that, because it wasn't like I leaned on them, but I was accustomed to having that there. And then it's okay, how fast do I walk?
Yeah.
I remember thinking when I walked down the road, how fast do I walk naturally? And it was a lot faster
Hmm.
than I had been walking. Yeah. But those days um, were really just precious, and we really both valued them. And there were a couple of times that were really close calls. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had to learn how to walk literally alone or
No.
with a walking stick, so that yeah. And let's see. So yeah, it was really it was really rediscovering myself as a whole person
Yeah.
rather than a half of a person.
Yeah.
Um,
What did you rediscover
oh,
apart from your rhythm of walking?
well, what belonged to me and what didn't.
Yeah.
It was really discovering what belonged to me, what harmonized with my inner song, my own song,
Yeah.
rather than our song.
Oh, yeah. Your song.
It was really starting to listen to that clearly,
Yeah.
because ours had been so intertwined for over 45 years, I think.
So many years.
Yeah.
Hmm. What a travel.
That was a real trip.
Yeah.
That was really interesting, and has been, and it's like I've Sarah is like my home, really. It was our home. It's my home. It's the home of everybody who's ever been here. I could just feel all the energies from people all over the world who were here to work with us
In your house.
in this house.
This house where you are sitting now.
Yes, and in this office where I'm sitting now.
Yeah.
And it just gives me this feeling of this incredibly full and adventurous life, rich, just rich.
Yeah.
It's not like I accomplished this and I accomplished that. It's just being so full of so much, of really, close to a century of experiences where I can literally re recreate myself in a carriage when I was before I was a year old or 2 years old at the most,
Mm.
to now.
To now, a rich life.
It's been so rich.
Yeah.
And now it's dealing with aging.
Yeah.
And that requires that requires a total change.
Again.
Cells.
Yeah.
Total.
Okay.
So
Explain.
this morning, it's not for the faint of heart, it's for the tough Brooklyn girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be fine, but I can't do this, I can't do that. It's really, sorting through. It's sorting through one's life. I've done a life review, but this was interesting to go over,
Yeah.
for me. But, I've already seen a lot of women in their 70s, their late 70s, early 80s, really go through, a re-examining and
Yeah.
a sort of a settling in of unsettled spaces, if I were to say it.
Beautifully said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, and being open to that. Um, and I'd say right now it's learning to live with the current day by day situation. There's a lot more time spent on maintenance of this body, of this mind, of this aging property,
Yeah.
of yeah.
So when you look back and on your life, there must have been parts in you. When I listen to the whole story, there's one constant voice that I seem to hear, and that's this adventurous, open, learning part in you that sort of finds something new in every new period of your life. Curiously, what can I learn from aging, or how can I redefine myself now? Hal's not there anymore. So that seems to me a very big primary self in you.
I think that's absolutely
Yeah,
true. That's absolutely true. Thank you.
yeah,
Because that's what it is, and I'm finding it all just fascinating.
fascinating. Yeah,
Just fascinating.
yeah. And have
Mm.
there been parts that sort of rejected change, that did not want?
Like that.
Yeah,
Yes. And that don't like change, and that like predictability and simplicity and predictability and the structure of, well, this is what I do on this day, and that's what I do on that day. And I must remember to do this and make a list to do that.
yeah,
And there's a part of me that feels very good with that and needs it. And another part of me that's just this rebellious, I'm bored. I'm not going, do I have to do that again? I did that this morning. I did that yesterday. And it's figuring out how to hold those opposites.
yeah, yeah. And like fear for change or sadness. How did you deal with that in your life?
I've felt the sadness. I've felt the losses
Yeah,
each time. I've felt the loss. Um, and more, it's really accepting the loss. It's as simple as that. It's really the accepting this doesn't work. It's I can't walk around in high heels anymore, and if I don't wear shoes that are comfortable, I can't manage. and I think that's exactly what aging is about. In terms of literally shoes and selves. Yeah. The selves that were comfortable when I was 6 years old are a little small for me right now.
Ja. Dit was het eerste deel van mijn interview met Sidra Stone. In het tweede deel van het gesprek gaan we in op wat mensen meemaken door grote levensveranderingen. En hoe we daarnaar kijken vanuit de visie van Voice Dialogue. Wat is precies transformatie? Wanneer groeien we eigenlijk als we iets groots, iets ingrijpends in het leven meemaken? Hoe kijken we daarnaar vanuit de visie van Voice Dialogue? En hoe kan de Voice Dialogue methode je helpen in zo'n periode van grote veranderingen? Ik spreek daarover in de volgende aflevering van deze serie met je ikke op pad, Voice Dialogue bij levensveranderingen. En Sidra sluit het gesprek af met een heel bijzondere oproep. Ik hoop je weer terug te zien in een volgende aflevering.
Dankjewel voor het luisteren of het kijken. Wil je ook de volgende afleveringen meemaken? Abonneer je dan op ons YouTube-kanaal. Heb je interesse in opleidingen op het gebied van Voice Dialogue? Kijk dan eens op onze website van de Voice Dialogue Academie. www.voicedialogue-academie.nl. Dankjewel en tot horens.